Hey everybody, I'm DJ Sixsmith. You're watching the Sit Down. Look who's here, Steve Schirripa, talking Sopranos, brand new podcast. What's up, man? How are you?
How are you, buddy?
Doing well. Thanks so much for
You
jumping
hanging
on.
in there?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird time, but plenty of time to listen to pods, plenty of time to watch Sopranos, right?
Yeah. Watch Sopranos, watch repeats of Blue Bloods.
That too.
But we have a podcast talking Sopranos, Michael Imperioli and myself. And they had announced it in February. We've been working on this for about 6 months. And then we were a little reluctant to do it, because we said, what's going on in the world? Does a TV show even matter? And then we started getting a lot of requests on social media. Could really use this right now. I'm rewatching the show, blah, blah, blah. So me and Michael weren't in such a great frame of mind ourselves, but we decided to go ahead with it. He's in California. I'm in New York City. And it's been going pretty good. I started watching the show again, first time in 20 years, as is he. And we'd rather be in the same studio, but we're making the best of it, and people seem to like it. We've gotten, hundreds of thousands of downloads already.
That's awesome.
We're in our third episode now, we start from the beginning, and, we talk about a whole bunch of stuff, casting choices and telling stories from behind the scenes. It's like two friends having lunch talking about work. And we go scene by scene. And Michael, who's been there from the beginning, and I came in the second season, so he knows just about everything about the show. So I have a lot of questions. So it's been going pretty good.
So when did you and Michael become real tight in terms of your friendship?
I met Michael. I met him in the second episode, in the second season, not the second episode, which was 1999. And then we worked together in the third season. And I had moved to New York. I was there full time because I had been commuting my first season for back and forth to Las Vegas. And we kind of became friendly, and we've been very close friends. We've done a lot of projects together. We've done my movie, Nicky Deuce, for Nickelodeon. He directed me in Hungry Ghosts. We've done quite a bit. We do a live show, Conversation with the Sopranos. So we've done a whole bunch of projects together, and this is just another one.
That's awesome. So since you were in the first season, what is most interesting to you when you rewatch it?
Well, first of all, I kind of had forgotten about it. It is so funny and laugh out loud funny. I also, since I'm older now, I understand the Melfi stuff, the psychiatrist stuff better.
Yeah.
I understand, what she's talking about better. And it's not surprising. I've seen it. It jaws a lot of memories, but it is laugh out loud funny of anything. That's what I realize, how the subtle lines, your throwaway lines are really funny.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most underrated parts of the show. And I think you've obviously thought about it. A lot of people have. This show really transforms TV in many ways, but I feel like the comedy kind of gets lost in the shuffle when you talk about The Sopranos.
Oh, for sure. Michael talks about when he got the script, he didn't know if it was a spoof. He didn't know if it was a comedy. He didn't know if it was a drama when he initially read it, what I think, what episode 5, College, where Tony takes his daughter up to visit schools, as so many of us have, and he sees the snitch and he murders him. That was the first time, I believe, a main character, the star of the show, murders someone.
Yeah.
And HBO didn't want to do it. They said if Tony Soprano murders someone, we're going to lose the audience. They were against it completely about showing this. And David Chase said, well, if he doesn't kill this guy, he's going to lose the audience, because that's what he's all about. He's a member of the mob. He's a murderer. He's a bad guy. The oath is the whole thing. And they listened to David, and then the show took off. So that was a real moment that changed things around in the 5th episode of the first season. And like I say, I joke, but I mean, you don't see Joey from Friends murdering someone. I don't think Kramer ever murdered anyone.
Nope,
So
definitely not.
this is the first time that happened. Then, of course, you have the anti-heroes and Breaking Bad and Shield and so many shows after this. But we rooted for Tony Soprano, even though he was a bad guy.
You mentioned the fact that David Chase pushes back in terms of the murder there. What was it about him that really stuck out to you and all the time you guys spent together?
I mean, you want to talk about a genius. I mean, this guy, he auditioned everyone. He was always there. Every detail he paid attention to. Nothing happened by accident on the show. Like with some shows, it calls for spaghetti, but I got big ziti, same thing. Okay, yeah. There was no compromise. If a guy, like there's one episode, a guy's eating Fig Newtons, there's a reason he's eating Fig Newtons. There's a reason this candy is in the candy dish. Nothing happened by accident. The music, the casting, the clothing. They would have tone meetings about the tone of the show. Wow. So that's the genius of this guy. And he's coming on the podcast, by the way. He listened to it. He called me. He said he loved it. So I very much look forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have him on. You can't do the pod without him, right?
Listen, when he called the other day and said I listened and congratulations, it made me very happy that he was happy,
That's wonderful. So when you think about your experience, what do you remember about first auditioning for the show?
I had a full-time job in Las Vegas, and I had been acting for a few years, dabbling, you know what I mean? But I never even thought of it as a career. And I came to New York for a wedding, and I read for the role of an FBI agent. And she said, I don't see you as that, read this. And I co-read Bacala, and I came back a week later and auditioned for that, and I got it. They called me the next day, and I did 6 episodes, and then I became a full-time cast member the following season 3. So it's pretty amazing. To get on any show is like hitting the lottery, but to get on that one, it's like hitting the lottery twice. It's pretty amazing,
It's unbelievable. So you mentioned the fact that you're in Vegas, you come to live in New York, you become a series regular. When do you start realizing that like the show's picking up steam, people are recognizing you? Like, take me back to those moments.
Well, the show was picking up steam in '99 when I started shooting it. I happened to be here when they got nominated for the 16 Emmys. I think it was the first cable show. So that was a big deal right then. So suddenly everyone's tuning in. What is this show? At the time, only 11 million people had HBO,
right.
So that was pretty amazing. When the show came out, my first shows were in 2000, January of 2000. And when they introduced Bacala, it wound up that I was on the trailer a lot, the season 2 trailer. It just coincidence. And people were seeing that, and that I had a pretty good role. It wasn't just a couple lines. It was, 3, 4, 5 scenes, So, people that I knew, it was really strange. Like they're saying, you have a picture? Could I have a picture of you signed? I said, what are you talking about? I know you for 20 years. Yeah, could you autograph for my mother? Could we take a picture? Take a picture. It was all very weird and new to me. Yeah. I was a little embarrassed by it.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally new. It's a strange thing to just get used to right overnight, I would imagine.
Yeah. And it happened almost immediately.
Wow. That's really interesting. So why do you think we were so intrigued with that world, with that family? Like, there's a bunch of different reasons, but what sticks out the most to you?
Well, I think you could relate to Tony. One, he wasn't this incredibly good-looking guy like up until then most actors were, right? Leading men anyway. Right. The big teeth and Jim was a regular-looking guy, losing his hair. He was a little overweight. He had problems with his mother, his wife, his kids, the guys at work. I think a lot of people could relate to that. It was more a show about the family than it was a mob, as far as I'm concerned. And I think a lot of people related to Tony. You saw him at his house. You saw him with the kids. He loved his family, but yet he had this evil thing inside, you know. So,
Yeah, and just the
and
fact that you could do both of those things. You could love your family and be a good man, but also do these horrible things when people don't recognize that those two could coexist.
you know, the show had a lot of layers, and I think that's what the contrast was, and I think that's why people were drawn to it. They maybe could picture themselves as Tony Soprano.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned James Gandolfini, and he was just such an incredible actor. What is something we don't talk about enough with him when it comes to the guy and the actor that he was?
Well, you know, he was a very generous guy, and he was nothing like Tony Soprano. He was like a hippie, you know. He wore bandanas and Birkenstocks, and he loved music, and he loved his son dearly and his daughter. Uh, and he was a very generous guy, you know, acting wise. And you know, he gave us all money. I've talked about it. He gave us one year checks for $33,000. He gave
Wow.
16 people a check. Uh, he was a regular good guy. You know, people think he was Tony Soprano. He was far from that, you know.
Yeah, those types of things don't happen on most sets where the lead is giving out checks like that, I would imagine.
No, never.
Yeah.
It never happens. I mean, and a lot of people have made a lot more money than him. And he had a contract dispute, and then he gave us all this giant check, and it was pretty amazing. He called us into his trailer and gave us an envelope. That's like buying everybody. It was in 2004, so it's like buying everybody a car, right?
Wow. That's really incredible. Is it going to be strange for you to watch yourself on screen again once we get to see
Oh
you two
yeah,
at
it's
the top?
horrible. Horrible. I don't really watch myself, but I'm gonna have no choice now. So
I feel you. So, what was it like for you, like post Sopranos? You obviously had a great run with Blue Bloods, but what was it like once you did separate from that show finally?
well, you know, I was lucky, right? You know, 6 months after the show ended, I was offered a show, Secret Life of the American Teenager, where I just played a suburban dad. And it was with Molly Ringwald, and Shailene Woodley was the star, who's now a big star. And she was just 16 years old then. And that was the job that helped me. It was a great show. It put ABC Family on the map. Uh, I did 110 episodes.
Wow.
It was in LA. And that was just, I played a regular guy. And I think that helped me tremendously. It wasn't the gangster stuff. Listen, I'm a blue collar guy. I'm not going to play an English professor. You know what I mean? But, you know, there's other things besides mobsters. Your cops and lawyers and doctors and et cetera, et cetera. Italians aren't just mobsters. That's a very small percentage, but unfortunately, you know, they put you in the box, especially coming off a huge show like The Sopranos, right? So that helped me. I was on that show for 5 years. I wrote books. I had a New York Times bestseller, The Goomba's Guide to Life. I wrote 6 books. One of them, a kid's book, turned into a movie, Nicky Deuce, on Nickelodeon, and Jim Gandolfini's in it, and Paulie Walnuts, Tony Sirico, and Michael Imperioli. I also, in 2015, I started on Blue Bloods, which is a fantastic show, fantastic job, great cast, great writing. You know, primetime TV gets lost in the shuffle for some reason. It's not hip, but in the meantime, there's more people watching Blue Bloods, you know, than a whole bunch of these hip shows, you know. And I love every minute of it. You know, the streets of New York are like another cast member. Tom Selleck's great, Donnie Wahlberg, Bridget Moynihan, who I work with most of the time. Great. It's a great show. I mean, you know, and I never really watched it until I was on it, nor did I watch The Sopranos either, you know. So it's a great show. I'm very happy to be a part of that. That's a really good thing. And I've done a whole bunch of stuff in between. I was a correspondent for Jay Leno for a number of years. I've done 40 Tonight shows and shows for Discovery. And I've run a whole bunch of different stuff, you know, and the podcast is just another piece to that puzzle, you know.
Yeah, you've really done it all, and people are going to love the podcast. So what are some big things you want people to take away when they listen and they rewatch the whole series?
Well, you know, first of all, HBO is streaming the series for free on HBO Go. And so you can watch along for nothing. Listen, we do a lot of talking just about, we give you a little peek behind the curtain, what went on in these scenes, what how Michael got the audition, how I got the audition. Michael tells an incredible story about him and Jim having a little too much to drink between takes. They were supposed to throw a body off a cliff, and they chained their legs to trees and covered it with leaves so they don't fall off the cliff. That was in season 4. And we got a whole bunch of stories like that, little behind-the-scenes stories that no one would know except for 2 guys that were there.
Beautiful. Steve, thanks so much. Looking forward to listening, and
Thank
we'll
you.
talk to you down the road.
You get the podcast, talkingsopranos.com, YouTube, or, Apple, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. If you want to watch us, YouTube. So
There you go. That's Steve. I'm DJ. See you next time.
good to see you.